So, the Europe Builds podcast is all about uncovering the untapped knowledge within the European startup ecosystem. And there's no better place to be than the Doers Summit, where for the very first time, founders, investors, and operators are meeting up to turn their ideas into reality.
The timing also couldn't be better. Some European problems may persist, but we're finally seeing winds of change, from the new Commission's competitiveness compass to reducing internal market barriers. There's a lot of room for growth and a lot of room for hope. So for all of this and more, join us for this series of Europe Builds episodes showcasing some of the greatest founders, operators and investors from the Doers Summit. All right, Geroge Hadjigeorgiou here with us today, CEO and founder of Skroutz. Talk about a household name, right? I mean, one of the most recognizable brands in Greece. And what a theme for a speech, you know, failing forward, 20 years of failing. Not something we really like in Europe, but something we really like in EUROPEBUILDS.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about your speech. I mean, let's start by hearing how you approach this idea of failure. Why do you think that it's something that you wanted to open the Doers Summit with?
I speak to founders or people that want to become founders and start something new. And it's always about, I mean, the things that they ask me is always towards what happened if this doesn't work, if the other thing doesn't work. And I just wanted to, you know, brush off the idea that failure is an important thing, or or it's something that would block you from starting. So that was the first part of the speech, which was, let's say, the negative part, or the negative part with some positive aspect to it. But the second part was how important it is to start creating and doing and building. And it doesn't have to be a startup, as I said, like many times, because I've seen this even with myself. I want to start a new hobby, and I'm like, I need studying, I have to do this, and what if I'm not good at it? And then I say, whatever, I don't want to say the word, but you know which
you can say the word.
We can we can bleep it, it's fine.
Okay. But you know, it's like, what can go wrong? I mean, you're not going to die, so probably, I mean, unless you're doing something that people die, but if you're not doing aviation or healthcare or something like that, you can't go wrong. You need to try, and you need to do those first steps. And I wanted to make failure sound like something insignificant. That was the purpose of the speech.
I think that's very important, especially in a country like Greece, where the culture doesn't accept failure in the way that others do. I would love to take you back to the early days, and we're going to kind of talk about a few different things, but I'm very curious. Did you enjoy being a founder of a 10-people team or of a 600-people team? Because there are not that many of such founders in Greece today. Which is the stage that you love the most?
It has, every stage has its challenges. Yeah, definitely when I look back, when we were 10 people, it was a lot more like a, friendly thing. So we would gather, we had a small office, and we would gather in a round table and eat all together. Someone might bring food for everyone else. So I remember those days, like I have with warm feelings.
Yeah.
Today, the challenge is a lot different. Of course, what you gain with the large company or at the stage Skroutz is now is that you have a lot more impact than in the early days. I mean, at that point we were small, not in terms of people, but in terms of what we were offering to consumers in 2007 or 8 when we were 10. So I kind of enjoy the same thing now, but with a small group of people that we work together daily.
Yeah.
So it's not that everything is lost in that friendly atmosphere, but it's kind of challenging to remember the names of 500 people, which I try to. Our offices are open, so I meet everyone, but somewhere after 300 people, it wasn't that easy anymore to keep meaningful connections with everyone.
And would you say you're a peacetime or a wartime CEO?
I mean, I've been through war times. I can't say I reacted I was,
an aggressive general or something like that.
No, I wasn't. I mean, it got the best of me. That's what I mean. It wasn't an easy era. It wasn't like war. I like it. Where is my shield to go to the battlefield? But I like hard problems. So I don't like the company not growing or growing at a very steady and small pace. I want the company to go fast, and I like 100 things moving around me. So if this is war, I don't like the other kinds of war where people don't play fairly, or they use means that I can't compete with. So that's one part that I don't like, and I had to deal with it.
I was really curious to, in your previous response, one of the most difficult things to scale is culture, right? You already kind of talked about this. Have you found any tools or any rituals that have been useful in this 600-person team now that that have allowed you to replicate the magic of the 10-person team?
To replicate, no. To mitigate, at a certain not completely, but you can get close to it. But I think the most important thing that works, no matter the size of the company, is to talk to people. So even if, it's not scalable for me to talk to 500 people, but it turns out that every now and then I get to talk to most of the people in the company. I don't know if there are any tricks other than there has to be a core of people that share the same culture, because if you go past a certain number of people, you can't be the one, or the founders can't be the ones that embrace that culture only. You have to have other people, and we were lucky in that front. Many of the people that we started with 15 years, 16 years in the company, and they share the same culture. So these are the ones that are preserving the culture in some sense.
And we have kind of new founders that are coming on, like in the Greek ecosystem. Solo founder versus multi-founders. Okay, like there are pros and cons in both. You guys were 3, if I'm not mistaken,
yes,
in the very beginning. How would you advise someone that is in this space?
Pros and cons. So you can share the bad things, and it's easier if you have someone to share the difficulties. So instead of dealing it on your own, but then people change over time. So it's kind of difficult to. You start with someone at your 20s or 25. And then after 7 or 10 years, you might get lucky and everyone is on the same stage of their life. But, it could be different. Someone is having a family, you're not, or the other way around. And this creates some tension. And it has created for us as well. It wasn't easy. So I don't think there's a silver bullet there. It's kind of opportunistic. If you have a founder that you trust, a co-founder, then go for it. But I wouldn't advise someone to go and look for someone on purpose.
In your next venture, will you have a co-founder, if there is one?
Yes, because I like. Those problems that those cons that I mentioned about having people you're working with, I think they're outweighed by the so many good things. We're still friends. We have things to share with my co-founders. We have the same mentality, so it's easier.
Yeah.
And the other things, you can work with them.
It's difficult to shop for a co-founder. You kind of said it yourself, right? But one thing we hear is you should also be complementary, right? So you should find someone who sort of highlights different strengths that you have. Do you think that's a good advice?
Yes, it's a very good advice, and that's what worked for us.
Yeah.
And we were 3 for like a year and a half, maybe more, in the company. So that's why we never had to raise money. Yeah, it was very important that 2 of the co-founders, me and Vasilis, were introverts. We didn't like to talk to people. We had no commercial acumen at all. And George, the third one, filled in that
You
gap.
need the hypersocial.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There was no chance I would talk to a customer on the phone. But George was like his favorite thing. So yeah, that was really complimentary for us.
You were bootstrapped for 15 years. Am I correct in saying that?
So we never raised capital. We only did an exit. What was it? 2021. So yeah, always bootstrapped. We never raised capital. We only raised debt to buy 50% of the company back. So.
And how is like I don't know many companies, at least in the Greek ecosystem, that like a PE has entered. Can you talk a bit about kind of the synergies that you guys have put in place?
So yeah, the first PE that entered was a Greek one, and it was that debt that we raised to buy the company back, a management buyout as they call it. And then the second one was because the first one had to exit at some point. So it wasn't like we were after it. It happened. Synergies. I don't think there are many in our case. In VCs are probably a lot more connected with other tech companies. But we have a very good relationship. They're not into the business that much, and that was their agreement. That was the agreement all along, that they're not. They said, we're not managers. We don't want to come in and manage the company. We trust you to do it. And we're being challenged, which is a good thing, and we get help in the things that we have no idea about, like buying companies, M&As, things like that. We had no clue. So they were really helpful on that front.
So for some of our listeners that are not familiar with the Greek space, you really built something that's phenomenal for our standards, right? This like amazing B2B2C platform. I think one of the favorite hobbies of Greeks is we love to complain. One of the hobbies of Europeans is we love to regulate. So what are some of our advantages in terms of building, both in Europe and in Greece as an ecosystem? What helped you around achieve the vision that you set out?
So it's, did you recently hear about DeepSeek?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the narrative, at least in the beginning, because I think it's changing now, but it's the fact that they didn't have access to good hardware, they became more creative. Yeah. And I think that for us, again, the fact that we didn't have a very mature startup ecosystem. You didn't walk to a convenience store and raise money, as in the US or maybe in Berlin at the time. For us, it made us creative, and we had to do things in a more efficient way because we didn't have money to spend. So that helped us go a long way without the distraction of having to raise money, without diluting ourselves. And in the overall ecosystem, I think, we not Greeks, but Europe, I think we have this, there's this idea that we are a bit more lazy compared to the US. I believe that we are very creative, and at least in Greece, in terms of engineering, which is the biggest struggle in a tech company, I think we're much not better, but the standard is very high.
We can compete.
Yeah, definitely we can compete. And it's a pity for Greece that, we should
take advantage of it a lot more.
Yeah, and we have Greece could be a tech hub for the Balkans. We could have done things earlier. I don't know if it's still, if we lost that opportunity, but
the race might still be on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but we have good people, and recently, like it from yourself, the last 5 years, I think people are returning from where they were.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. I mean, yeah, we kind of did that trick where we send everyone else to get abroad to get educated, and now
they're back. Yeah.
Now we have the sun back.
But talent, you hear everybody talk about Greek talent, right? So that's definitely, it's objective, and they're in Greece, but they're also elsewhere. It's definitely some lever we can pull.
Yeah.
And if I wear my operator hat, because that's the hat that I have the most, so hindsight is like a virtue. Like how can you kind of translate this hindsight into wisdom? And you've definitely done with like 15 years in entrepreneurship. So if you had to reset the company or for your next venture, what are kind of the 3 things that you're sure you're going to do differently or exactly the same?
So what I would do exactly the same, one, going through stages, as founders, we always had that imposter syndrome where, is it the right thing that we're doing? Is it okay to be so frugal and not go a bit more on the let's spend money side? Or we wouldn't hire easily. We didn't want to have too generic roles or people that we didn't understand exactly what they were doing, like more luxury roles. And at some point we said, maybe that's not the right thing. Maybe we need more generalists, and we were experimenting with that. So what I would do exactly the same is be as frugal and as focused on efficiency as in the early days, because I think it's the way to go for any tech company.
What would you do differently? Like, this is the same?
Differently. Like you want them sorted by dates, alphabetically.
Just one, something that someone can take and run with it.
If you rank them by importance, what do you think would be first?
I would reach out to more people, because many of the walls that we hit, we were hitting with our heads, we could have avoided, and it didn't bring any value. I mean, there are some kinds of failures that actually don't bring any value. They don't kill you, but you're not learning. And this could have easily be avoided if we reached out to people. Unfortunately, all 3 of us, our families and people we knew had nothing to do with the business world. So I didn't have an uncle that even had a restaurant or something like that. So I had no one to get just the tiniest bit of advice about hiring or spending or expanding or whatever. So that kind of advice, I would do it a lot sooner than I did, which was like after 15 years.
Just now, or like 5 years ago. And I know you're an engineer at heart. So which is kind of one big problem that you lack, like if you didn't have Skroutz today, you would have loved to be solving?
I think, so one thing that I thought that I really would like to take a crack at it is education.
Now we're talking.
My children are now past that age where I was very, I was worried about that. So they're at this age where they're almost finishing school. Mm-hmm. But I still believe that education is broken. So we have so many things to inspire students, and we just keep those boring stuff inside books without the story surrounding it. So yeah, that's one thing that I would like to do.
I'd love to see what you make of it. I mean, there's definitely a lot of impact there.
I have to find the time.
Yeah, of course. But from an engineering background and then an incredible entrepreneurship journey, I'm really curious how you would turn these insights and apply them to a much needed education system. So Geroge Hadjigeorgiou, thank you so much, co-founder and CEO of Skroutz.
Thank you so much for having me.
Live from Doers Summit, wonderful conversation and lovely speech before.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of EUROPEBUILDS, where we show that the European ecosystem is no longer an underdog story.
If you liked our episode and want to hear more, follow EUROPEBUILDS on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Born's YouTube channel.